Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of our upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have James Creech on the line, and he's co-founder and CEO over at Paladin, and he's also a host at All Things Video Podcast. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Excited to do this.
Oh, man, I love having fellow podcasters on the line and to interview
That's
them.
right.
Why? Because you're going to do my work for me. No, just playing. But that being said, we're going to get into podcast, and I also want to get into this new analytics tool that you have that you just released earlier this year, Measure Studio. So that's really exciting stuff. But before we get into all this stuff, let's just start with the basics. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing over at Paladin, please.
Sure. So Paladin is the essential influencer marketing platform for influencer agencies and creator networks. So, there's a lot of great influencer marketing tools out there, but we cater specifically to the supply side of the value chain. So those, that are working really closely with digital talent. So social influencers on platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and of course, TikTok. We started the business about 4.5 years ago, my two partners and I, and all of us had come from working at, influencer agencies and talent management companies, creator networks. So we had experienced a lot of these pain points firsthand. So, you talk about Mission Matters. I always say we started the business to solve a problem. We had lived through these pain points and went from, experimenting and building some tools to help make our lives easier to waking up and realizing, well, we're not the only ones, wrestling with these challenges. There's a whole emerging category that needs tools like this. So that's exactly what we focus on.
That's awesome. And speaking of tools that help alleviate this, let's just dive right in. So first off, congrats on the launch of Measure Studio. Tell us more about the tool and what we need to know.
Yeah, thank you. So, Paladin's been around for 4.5 years, and we've always focused on influencer marketing solutions, things like influencer discovery, talent management, campaign reporting. But we saw, this trend towards more owned and operated content on social platforms, right? Whether that was traditional publishers like a Refinery29 or a Hearst, Condé Nast, to more of these new social-first publishers like Donut Media, Cheddar, Futurism, all these companies that are really focused on creating content for social audiences. And, of course, you have brands and influencers and others that are producing owned and operated content for social. And we just, we were shocked by the lack of really good analytics tools out there. You, of course, have native platform solutions. You've got YouTube analytics, Instagram analytics, which are good, but nothing that really brings everything together in a cohesive multi-platform environment, and nothing that really tries to standardize or give you consistent reporting across platforms. So we launched Measure Studio after doing months and months of research, customer interviews to really understand the needs and the pain points, and then prototyping something out, launching an MVP, doing a closed beta, and now getting to the public launch. We're really excited to unveil it to the world and talk about what our customers like Group 9 and SubiTube and others are using the tool to do, which is benchmark content performance, understand how their posts are performing across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're about to launch Snapchat later this month, so very excited to roll out new platforms. And the whole goal is really understanding, all right, what posts are working, what's resonating with my audience, and what's maybe not working so well, and how do we improve that?
Man, I love it. What are and I don't want to oversimplify this, but I do want to maybe pick out one or two things that you've noticed, because I know this is going to vary from agency to agency, company to company. What are some of the common pain points that you find most people are having in this, either whether it's measuring or trying to figure out what their content's doing, and was one of kind of the impetuses for Measure Studio?
Sure. So a lot of it revolves around, centralizing all the data in one place and getting better comparisons among content. So one of the biggest pain points is if I post something to a social site like YouTube, Facebook, I can only analyze analytics on a fixed calendar schedule, right? So if I upload a post on June 1st and something else on June 5th, I can look at those on a calendar, but I can't say, how did all of my posts do in the first 72 hours after upload, right? And we're doing hourly data tracking for those first 2 days, which is the critical period for ranking and search. We also can look at things like hey, what was my most engaged with content the first week after it was posted, which is just, impossible on native platform analytics today. So that was one piece. The next is benchmarking. So we analyze all of the content that you've uploaded over the last 6 months, which in cases like, when we ran a beta test with the NFL could be thousands of posts a day, right? We're ingesting a lot of content and showing you, okay, this is your baseline. This is the median expected performance for this post type. Call it an Instagram story or a YouTube video. And then we show you the outliers, right? What's doing exceptionally well and what might be the reason for that? How do we produce more content like this? And, by the same token, what's fallen below that threshold? What is underperforming? And do we either need to stop using that format or creating that series? Maybe there's something about a character that's not working or the metadata needs to be updated. So it's all geared towards informing your decisions so that you can better produce content that will drive more audience, drive more viewership, and drive more revenue for your brand.
Man, this is like the Ferrari or the Bugatti of data analytics for social. This is amazing.
That's the goal. Yeah, we want to make it really simple for people. You don't need to know SQL, right? There's nothing complex to configure. It's easy out of the box. You can plug in all your social analytics and start doing some really powerful analysis.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. It's exciting. So what kind of so there's a lot of people listening right now that are pretty excited about this, just like myself. What are the correct types of businesses and or niches that you can see this product or working with Paladin in general are typically the right type of fit?
Sure. So on the Paladin side for influencer marketing, it's anyone who's running influencer campaigns, especially those influencer marketing agencies, talent management companies, certainly creator networks, those brands that are doing influencer ambassador programs. On the Measure Studio side, it's anyone who's producing content for social and needs help understanding its performance. So that can be small to medium businesses. It's certainly media publishers, the social publishers that I mentioned, broadcasters, studios, anyone, even creators that think about analytics and run their social accounts like a business that want to understand what's working and what's not. Give you another example. We worked with a musician who was posting a lot of Instagram stories and not really knowing what content strategy was resonating. And he found out using Measure Studio that, number one, behind the scenes content, so backstage before concert performances, tended to draw more engagement from his audience. And he found out that with Instagram stories, after he reached about 10 posts in a single story sequence, people started to drop off. So he learned, okay, I'm going to limit my stories to just kind of 10 posts in succession to really capture full engagement. So really there's a lot of different use cases, and we're trying to build value into the tool for everyone from those large enterprise customers down to that individual use case.
Man, I love this. And it truly is, it's a science. Like it really is. And for that person, like that musician that you mentioned, him making that tweak can make all the difference, like in his adoption and everything else. And it's just that small little tweak. And it's, to me, in the past, it's just been annoying because you're like, wait, why did that work and that didn't work? I don't get it. Like what you're trying to do is what you're doing is you're taking that I don't get it moment out of people's minds. It's like you're providing the background, the science behind it. So, man, that's awesome because it's frustrating otherwise because he's looking at it like, wait a minute, why this one? Well, what? Like, and that's it. Like now you get it. Why? Because you got to keep it at 10 or less. Come on, keep it backstage. Get it together. I love it, James. This is awesome. So that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Paladin or Measure Studios or, of course, your podcast. Wait a minute, I forgot the podcast. Tell us about this podcast. I need to know about this podcast. I love bringing new podcasts to our podcast to my audience. Tell us a little bit more, please.
Definitely. And like you said, it's always fun to meet a fellow podcaster and just share the knowledge with more people. So I started the show, All Things Video, about 5 years ago. I'm an Angelino like yourself, and we spend a lot of time in our cars driving around listening to podcasts. And so I was in this position where I was fortunate to get to talk to other entrepreneurs all over the world and just found myself wanting to ask them more questions, right, share their stories. And so I figured, well, hey, how hard could it be? And found out quickly thereafter, how much work really does go into making a podcast. So my hat is off to you, sir. But it's just a journey of wanting to connect with more entrepreneurs and especially those in the digital media space share the lessons learned along the way, avoid some of the common missteps, get some really practical advice that people can apply to their businesses. And I love it, right? I still do it as a passion project where I just, interview smart people and try and share the things that they've come across in their entrepreneurial journeys.
Man, I love it. It's no joke, and I'm a little baby in the podcasting world. It's been around for 5 years already. I'm on my terrible 2s and looking to get to my 5 one day to be like you.
That's awesome.
So excited to get to have you on and to promote your podcast. Also, the name of the podcast again, please, because I know people need to look this up as we're speaking.
All Things Video. So you can find it everywhere. Podcasts are Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. I mean, it's out there. So search All Things Video. You can also search my name, James Creech, and it should pop up. And you'll see some great interviews with really fascinating entrepreneurs from the gaming space to traditional media, digital media, social influencer businesses, everything in between.
Fantastic. Well, James, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing over at Paladin and also your podcast. And let's not forget that amazing tool you just launched. So all great stuff there. If somebody wants to connect to learn more about Paladin or Measure Studios, what's the best way for them to get that info?
Sure. You can visit our website, paladinsoftware.com. That's Paladin software.com, and measure.studio. That one's easy, just measure.studio. And if you're looking to connect with me, I'm James Creech on LinkedIn. Would love to say hi, so feel free to drop me a line. And you can also check out the podcast, All Things Video, on LinkedIn and everywhere on social.
Fantastic. Well, James, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great things that you're doing over at Paladin. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there and also leave some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And James, thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Adam. Thanks again for the opportunity. It's great to talk and share a little bit more with your audience.